62,000 cruise ship passengers visited the Falkland Islands last year. Come with us and see why this remote place in the windy South Atlantic is such a fascinating gem of a place.
Weather in the South Atlantic changes rapidly, but tomorrow Tuesday, according to all our forecasts and according to the locals in Port Stanley, there's a bit of a weather window. We can expect winds about 10 to 15 knots on the approach in the morning, and then it may pick up a little bit in the afternoon, 15 to 20, maybe even 25 in the afternoon when you're coming back on those tenders. But it's going to be very cold, about 7 degrees there, 45 degrees, so do wrap up warmly tomorrow, particularly if you're going ashore in those little boats into Port Stanley itself.
February the 26th is late summer in the Falkland Islands. 3 weeks earlier, it had reached a sunny 72 degrees, and up till a week ago, temperatures had reached the mid-50s. But on this day, we dressed warmly.
I have my Santa's helper hat on.
Of the 3,200 that live here, 2,400 call Stanley their home. It is very British, very neat, tidy, and clean. A cruise ship like ours will double the island's population, and most come to see the penguins. There are independent tours along with 3 excursions offered through the ship. One was Volunteer Point for a large colony of kings, another to the world's largest rockhopper colony, and the one we chose, Bluff Cove, for Gentoos and Kings.
We'll take you down to the lagoon, you get dropped off in front of the penguins, you got kings, you got gentoos, and you got 3 wardens that will help answer any questions you might have.
Book early. These excursions can sell out before the ship arrives.
Once you've had a look at the penguins, if you make your way towards the beach, there's a cafeteria where you'll be able to get complimentary drinks and cakes.
The residents seem quite pleased to set aside their day jobs and show us around their island.
We're slightly ahead of time this morning, so not very often we could say that. But we'll take you up through Stanley and let you have a look at what you can see when you come back. Gift shops and a restaurant there and the church. That's well worth a look. This is our largest supermarket here.
A fellow passenger asked if today's temperature was normal.
No, way 10 degrees below normal, at least 10, but more than that, about 12. Yeah, no, it's very cold. I mean, it is starting to warm up slightly, but I don't think you're going to see it in double figures around 9 or 10, but...
This is a Falkland Islands police station, originally built in 1873.
This is the Malvina Hotel. That's probably the equivalent of our 5-star hotel. This is the 1982 War Memorial here. This is sheltered accommodation here for the elderly, and at the back of that's the hospital. Wow. Relatively mild.
The islanders are doing well for themselves with income from fishing, sheep farming, and tourism. With unemployment of only 1%, I think they can use some help here, especially when a large cruise ship pays a visit. They have 6 wind turbines that provide 60% of the power for Stanley. After a 20-minute drive, we reached the end of the paved road, where the 4x4s came to pick us up. The couple traveling with us had been here before.
9 years ago.
To Bluff Cove?
Yes.
Ah, brilliant.
Yeah, we liked it so much we decided to come back again.
Bluff Cove is a part of Hattie and Kevin Kilmartin's family farm. It is home to 1,000 breeding pairs of Gentoo penguins and a small number of breeding kings.
He's got about 100 head of cattle on the farm. He farms 4,000 sheep, and the farm is 35,000 square acres. Yeah, you can see the kings there.
Oh, neat.
Welcome to Bluff Cove.
All right.
Land of sunshine.
Yeah.
See it? And penguins. The king penguins are just here beside us.
Yeah, the larger
ones. There's about 10 of them there at the moment.
Oh, they have the chicks with them. You see that? Oh.
And the chicks are big enough that, you know, they can't really get behind. Most of them can't get behind the brood flap means that you get good photographs, because they do seem so tame that these are wild birds, yeah, and just get that little bit too close, or they can feel intimidated and frightened.
The little one on the right is getting a meal from Mom. She's flapping her wing.
There's an argument going on.
Hello? They do okay?
Yeah.
It's great to see, isn't it?
Yeah.
Up close.
This is
Hopefully
exciting.
this makes up for it.
Oh, it
for
does,
you.
yeah.
Good.
Oh yeah, that's really nice. On our walk to the beach, we saw our first pair of Gentoos. Just over a small rise, we encountered a Gentoo rookery, or breeding colony. Gentoos don't migrate, so many will live out their 20-year life right here at Bluff Cove. Many were resting, but others were very vocal. The sea is their source of food. They eat krill, small fish, and sometimes squid, which are very abundant in the Falkland waters. Gentoos are fast swimmers, able to dart over 20 miles per hour when chasing a meal. A parent feeds baby chicks by regurgitating a catch. This little guy looks big enough to catch his own fish, but as long as Mom feeds him, he'll take the easy route. They can't fly in the air, but their flipper-like wings make them fast and agile in the water. They regulate their body temperature by flapping their wings and holding them out in the breeze. Waddling burns a lot of energy. The Falklanders know how to deal with their cool gray climate. Bluff Cove has a marvelous escape from the cold, where all guests are treated to a warm cup of tea.
You get a drink, you can get coffee or tea, and two little desserts. I already ate the little tiny scone with some clotted cream, I think it was, and some jam on it. And I've got my tea. It's carrot cake here.
We learned about Kevin Kilmartin, our former South American hitchhiker, a shepherd and postmaster on South Georgia and in Antarctica, who was able to purchase Bluff Cove in 1980. The Bluff Cove Museum shows the pioneering life of the Falkland sheep farmers, home to 3,500 Perrindale sheep and 100 belted Callaway cattle. Some 2.5 million penguins were killed in the late 19th century for their oil, used for machinery, lamps, and tanning leather. One penguin would yield a pint of oil. The grisly practice of harvesting penguins came to an end in 1918 when mineral oil became plentiful. Our ride came all too soon. Time to leave our cozy shelter with its peat-fueled stove. Gene, our driver, has a different job when the cruise ships aren't in.
Fireman.
He's classified as the first responder.
Oh,
Really?
And you see, he's got all this gas equipment where you cut people out of vehicles.
Really?
Yeah. And so when we look at this Japanese rubbish, we say to him, "Show us how you cut this vehicle up."
So a Land Rover is a better vehicle than a Toyota then.
Oh, definitely, isn't it? I mean, Land Rovers, they leak, they break down. Whereas this has got central heating, or whatever you call it, air conditioning, and all the rest of it.
The fact that oil has stayed so low in price, that's stopped a lot of these companies all over the place.
We learned commercial quantities of offshore oil were discovered in 2010, but the wells are capped until prices increase. There are 2 scheduled flights to the Falklands. One is with the Royal Air Force Air Bridge, available from the UK twice a week. The other is a weekly service from Santiago, Chile, with a stop in Punta Arenas. That flight makes a monthly stop in Rio Gallegos, Argentina. We transferred back to a smoother riding van once we hit the paved roads, and then we learned that the Falkland War is still fresh in the minds of the islanders.
The British arrived on the 21st of May 1982, so literally it was 4 weeks really. And he said, well, I do warn you, if you take the British on, it's not very often they lose. But the Argentine Navy, actually after the Belgrano was sunk by the British Navy submarine, they pretty much headed back into their ports and stayed there right up until the end of the conflict.
How long did the war last?
74 days. From the 2nd of April to the 14th of June, 82.
We took a walk on Ross Road where we saw the world's most southern Anglican cathedral, built in 1895. This arch, built in 1933 from the jaws of 2 ginormous blue whales, commemorated 100 years of British rule. Things seemed very peaceful, in part due to the island's 18 full-time police officers. This is a peace park dedicated to the Falklands War. The people would love to make peace, but in spite of a 2013 referendum where 99.8% of the Falklanders voted to remain British, and in spite of a weaker historical claim, Argentina refuses to give up its sovereignty claim. In the meantime, the UK has around 1,000 joint service personnel deployed for the Falkland Islands defense. Got the selfie? Time to head back to the ship.
Very special.
After the ship's in-place rotation, we headed southwest, deep into the cool, moist South Atlantic. We're about to go through a storm with 25-foot seas on our way to Cape Horn.